Thank you for watching this preview video showcasing the latest version of DarwiNet. We have used the latest technologies available to radically enhance and simplify your user experience within the self-service portal. So here is the new login page. It is a single sign-on login, which means basically if you're a manager or you're an owner or you're an individual employee, it'll recognize your user ID and password and take you to the correct spot. So there's no multiple logins, sign-ins anymore. You can also sign on as a new user if you're a new user to the system itself. So I'll go ahead and sign in here, and once I've signed in, it takes me immediately to my dashboard. And so the dashboard remembers your favorite widgets or favorite things that you use that you want on the system for personalizing the dashboard. And you can add different items on the fly, and it'll remember your last view of the dashboard. So if I wanted to see my gross wages trend graph, I can add that into the system and then flip through the different areas and actually see by last 3 months, last 6 months, last 12 months. And later on, when we get to more of the insight reporting, we can see this information expanded even further. Really clear, easy to use, important areas like PTO requests. The notification center has been redesigned, so it's very easy and clean looking. And the menu is now a collapsible menu. We also have a persistent employee search bar, so wherever you are in DarwiNet, at any time if you need to look up employee information, you can start typing in part of the employee's name or social security number or ID, and it'll immediately bring up the proper employee in the system. So I can jump right to that employee screen and then do anything else I need to do with that employee if I want to look at any of their HR information, checks, payroll, etc. All that information is always accessible at your fingertips. So moving back to the dashboard, the other thing that's been radically changed is the ability for individual users to see multiple levels of information. And what I mean by that is this particular user might own actually 2 different clients. So even though these are individual clients, I actually can go ahead and see information about both clients without having to sign in and out because I have access to both of these things. And I'm also an employee of this system, which means I'm getting paid through the payroll system, and at a certain time I might say I want to just see my information as if I'm an employee. I don't need to sign into a different link and log in as an employee. I can just jump over and I'm now that employee in the system. So if I wanted to come in and I needed to do something like use the time clock or something like that, I can actually jump over and see that information, see the time clock, punch in and punch out, etc. So all that has been all simplified for the user in the system. Now, going back to my role as a manager, the menu items, the menu structure is radically different, much more modern looking, and we can see a lot of information here that has changed. So for example, just at my company level information, all of the screens now have enhanced attachments available to you. So I can add notes and attachments, decide whether or not they're viewable to employees, view the notes in kind of clean looking modals, view the attachments. Any attachments associated with the notes are there. So not only just the documents that come through onboarding, but you can add attachments on the fly in a nice interface in the system. Company calendar is available in the system, where I can come in and see day, week, month. I can see an agenda for my next few events. So you can set this for the company and for employees to see different calendar items. A contact list is available, so you can see all the different contacts that are associated with a particular client. Moving down to kind of a preview of the employee area, the employee list has changed dramatically too. In addition to the fact that you now have a picture of the employee right there, all of these grids are dynamic in the sense that we can do almost ad hoc reporting on the fly. So if I wanted to sort by department, I can actually just grab that field and sort by those different fields on the grid. I can come into the different areas and pick and choose columns I want in the system. So if I didn't want to see the picture, I want to see it more consolidated, I can pull that out and I can see this information right there. And of course, I can email directly from these different screens just by simply choosing the email button right there. So once again, going back to the employee area, we now have an employee snapshot area right here. And so this is everything about an individual employee, including to be able to drill into their benefit areas, their pay code areas. If I want to see an individual paycheck stub, I can bring that up on screen right here like this. And I can scroll through all the different employees that I have access to and choose an employee on the fly, very similar to the employee search area. I can do that same searching through here. It dynamically will search down just to the employees that have that criteria. Anybody with the name Davis, I can jump to that employee on the fly if I need to see information about that. Going back to the menu items here, onboarding is now natively integrated within it, so the onboarding module is just seamlessly within DarwiNet. So if I jump into the process monitor, at any time I can come in and see any employees that are currently going through onboarding, where they are in the process, and I can actually jump into the onboarding itself anytime simply by clicking on this. It'll show me where they have finished the process, and if I want to see something like the I-9, I can jump over to the I-9 and actually see that document on screen if I need to. Once again, just like the prior versions of onboarding, all these documents are electronically signable and will be stored permanently with the employee record. Moving on from the employee area, we'll move down to the payroll area. The invoices, so the preview, the current, the list of invoices, the balance, the total burden, all the areas you'd expect. If I jump into one of these screens, it's a much cleaner design. So if I come into an invoice, I can actually choose any of the invoices I want. So if I drill back to this invoice, I'll see all the different areas associated with the invoice. And I can see the checks that are associated with the invoice listed down here. Once again, if I want to see the actual check stub, I can bring it up on screen. And all the different sub areas of the invoicing, I can actually drill down to and see more detailed information about those things. The reports are available off screen right here. And so they are now generated within DarwiNet itself. So it eliminates a lot of the data transfers. But what this does is actually shows the invoice and any of the other backup reporting right here on screen. And I now have the ability to export it in any format that I want. So if I actually wanted to see this particular invoice in an Excel format, I can actually dump it right down into Excel and it'll actually appear in an Excel format. So much easier way to get your data regardless of the format of the report. I can now dump it into any format that I want. Okay, moving on from invoices, the timesheet area. So this has been revamped also. So we can see the payroll schedule, the check history, all those different areas. There's a time clock, and here I'll just show you the timesheet really quickly. So here are any current timesheets being worked on, and I can edit the timesheets, and they work truly like an spreadsheet or a grid. So here is all the employee information, and the amount of columns and the amount of pay codes shown here are customizable. I can simply add more codes to the timesheet. I can add employees to the timesheet on the fly. I can do the typical clear columns, autofill columns, see and high pay rates based upon security rights of the user, and I can reorder the columns using these left and right arrows. So based upon that information, I can actually see these. It's a little different than the old version where I wasn't able to go ahead and move columns around on the fly. I can do that now, so it'll know which columns I'm accessing more commonly. For example, if I pay multiple checks in a certain pay period, I might have the check number column in the first column. And I can come in and fill in everybody's hours simply by clicking the autofill if I need to. Everybody's got 40 hours. And maneuvering through the system is mouseless. I can use the down and up arrows and the tab keys and the shift tab keys. So it's very easy for data entry. And once you approve it, it's sent off to the user, the back office for processing payroll. And we will be supporting multiple levels of approval if that's appropriate for your company. Okay, moving on from the timesheet area down to the brand new ACA dashboards. So in the ACA area, we'll now have an intermediate dashboard that shows how many full-time and part-time employees you have, the coverage offered, and whether that coverage is considered affordable under the rules of the ACA or Obamacare. I can see the hours details here, where I can see based upon the periods how many hours any of the employees have worked. I can look at look-back periods, where I can see the reported hours, the average hours, and the status of the employee. And in the analysis area, I can actually see how many employees are approaching thresholds. So if they're approaching the 30-hour threshold, I'll have immediate dashboard information about that. And I can also do what-if analysis. So if my premiums are changing by a certain percentage, how much I would need to change my wages to make sure any full-time employees are still considered covered under the ACA rules. We are expanding this even further, but this is an area we're very excited about. Moving down to reporting, we have a bunch of different reporting options available. I'll just focus on the Quicklist today. So the Quicklists are the ability for the common things that you're using to show up quickly. So if I wanted to see everybody's birth dates in the quick list, I go into the birth dates area, and I can come in and see and pull everybody's birth date who's appearing in January. And then finally, the inside area is a brand new area. And so in the inside area, this is the ability for you to do ad hoc viewing of your data in the system. So I can use the slider to change what dates I'm looking at. So if I'm looking at 2014, I can see my gross wages trend. And I can see my gross wages by department. And any of these values are dynamically available to change. So if I say I don't want to see this department or this department, I can remove those lines. So multiple areas we can see this type of information for this type of reporting. You can use your slider to change your values and your time periods, and that will all dynamically reflect on the graph. And in fact, if I do this, I can actually see the values here in the system. So we really view the inside area as a way to get top-level views of your information from the dashboard, the payroll, the invoicing area, all those different areas right here. So if I came in here, I can say, okay, show me by department. I can build the chart for gross wages, showing all the information I'm there. And let me go to an area where I actually have some data. So it builds the data dynamically based upon the areas you've chosen. So that's my gross wages by department. If I only wanted to see based upon hourly pay codes, I can change that and it'll show me only based upon hourly pay codes. And I can even say only show me for a certain pay code. I can build that chart and only show me for that certain pay code in the system. And finally, so that's a kind of a preview of what it looks like and a little bit of the additional functionality we had. We are much more friendly for mobile devices. So just to show you some screenshots of what it looks like from a mobile device, the login, as a very typical mobile-friendly login type screen. It'll recognize your orientation, so based upon whether or not you're looking at it from a landscape perspective or on a tablet, or the more traditional portrait perspective. You notice it renders these things nicely, so I can come in and approve my invoice, approve PTO, right from my iPhone or BlackBerry or whatever device I'm using. I can do employee quick searches, that same functionality right from my phone if I need to. I can look at statements of earnings, the paycheck stubs of the employees directly from this system. I can come in and see a list of checks and drill down to the actual paycheck stubs. I can use my ACA dashboard right on my phone, so I can see that information in the system. And the same thing for ACA hours details, ACA look-back periods. I get all that information directly from my mobile devices. And even those insight graphs that I showed at the end, I can see that same information directly from my mobile device. Anyways, thank you for watching today's preview of our new DarwiNet, and we hope to let us know if you have any questions, and we hope to see you using this soon.